The crimson canopy of Xerion 4 filtered the twin sun's light into an eerie amber glow as Kinza moved silently through the undergrowth. Her reptilian scales shifted color to match the mottled bark around her, while her four eyes tracked every movement ahead. The human had been running for 3 standard hours now, and she had expected him to collapse from exhaustion long ago. Instead, Adam continued his steady pace through the alien jungle, occasionally pausing to examine strange flora or collect seemingly random items. Kinza's mandibles clicked in confusion. This wasn't the behavior of prey. This was the behavior of someone with a plan. The Zephyrian Huntress had been tracking humans across the galaxy for cycles, studying their patterns for the collective's invasion fleet. Humans were supposed to be weak, panicked creatures who fled blindly when faced with superior predators. Yet this one moved with purpose, his biped form navigating the treacherous terrain with surprising grace. Adam stopped suddenly near a grove of crystalline trees, their translucent trunks humming with bioluminescent energy. Kinza froze, her chameleonic skin instantly adapting to the blue-white radiance. She watched as the human knelt and began examining the ground, his primitive hands sifting through fallen crystal shards. "Interesting," Adam muttered to himself, his voice carrying clearly in the still air. "These formations suggest a high mineral content in the soil. The electromagnetic properties might be useful." Kinza's translator implant struggled with several of his terms. The human was speaking in technical language, not the desperate babbling she expected from frightened prey. She crept closer, her natural stealth allowing her to observe from mere meters away. Adam began collecting the crystal fragments methodically, sorting them by size and luminosity. Then he pulled out a small device, some primitive human scanner, and waved it over various specimens. The device beeped softly and Adam nodded with satisfaction. "Perfect. The resonance frequency should provide adequate protection from electromagnetic storms," he said, placing the selected crystals into his pack. Kinza's four eyes widened in surprise. Electromagnetic storms were the primary danger on Xerion 4, capable of frying neural systems and disrupting most technology. How could this human know about them? The storms weren't due to hit this region for another few hours, according to her mission briefings. Adam stood and continued deeper into the jungle, and Kinza followed at a safe distance. Her confusion grew as she watched him stop periodically to harvest specific plants, always seeming to know exactly what he was looking for. At one point, he carefully extracted sap from a massive tree whose bark pulsed with defensive toxins that should have killed him on contact. Instead, Adam used a small knife to score the bark at precise points where the toxin concentration was lowest, collecting the valuable sap without harm. The locals use this as both an antiseptic and an insulation material, Adam explained to himself, as if teaching an invisible student. Should be perfect for sealing joints. Locals. Kinza's scales rippled with alarm. Xerion 4 was supposed to be uninhabited except for the collective's monitoring stations. How could this human know about local inhabitants? As the day progressed, Kinza watched Adam construct what could only be described as a masterpiece of survival engineering. Using the crystalline fragments, plant fibers, and various other materials he'd gathered, he built a sophisticated shelter in a natural clearing. The structure was partially underground, with walls that curved to deflect wind and electromagnetic energy. The crystal fragments were embedded in the walls in complex patterns that seemed to serve both structural and technological purposes. But strangest of all, the shelter was clearly designed for more than one person. Much more than one person. Kinza counted sleeping spaces for at least 6 beings with different accommodations for various physiologies. There were areas suited for her own species' resting posture, complete with temperature regulation systems built from local materials. Another section seemed designed for aquatic beings, with the ingenious water circulation system powered by the bioluminescent crystals. As the first electromagnetic storm began to build on the horizon, its purple lightning flickering through the amber canopy, Adam made final adjustments to his creation. He activated some kind of human device and the entire shelter hummed to life, its crystal matrix creating a protective field that made Kinza's scales tingle even from a distance. "That should do it," Adam said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Then he called out loudly, his voice carrying through the jungle. "I know you're out there watching me. All of you. The storm's coming, and this shelter has room for everyone who needs it." Kinza's camouflage flickered in shock. He had known she was there all along. She remained hidden, uncertain how to respond. "I'm Adam, by the way," The human continued, settling down near the shelter's entrance but leaving it wide open. I'm a xenobiologist and survival specialist. I crashed here 3 days ago, but I've been studying this planet and its inhabitants for months before that. I know about the collective's monitoring stations. I know about the various species using this world as a waypoint, and I know that when these electromagnetic storms hit, most of your shielding technology fails. Lightning crackled overhead as the storm intensified. Kinza felt her own equipment beginning to malfunction, static filling her communication implants. I also know, Adam added with a slight smile, that most species in this sector have never encountered humans before, so you're probably wondering what exactly we are. The answer is simple. We're the species that builds bridges instead of walls, that offers shelter instead of demanding surrender. As if summoned by his words, other figures began emerging from the jungle. Kinza saw a collective monitoring team, Zephyrians like herself, along with several other species she didn't immediately recognize. All of them looked exhausted and desperate as the storm's electromagnetic pulses grew stronger. One by one they approached the shelter. Adam greeted each group calmly, showing them to the appropriate sections he'd designed for their needs. When Kinza finally stepped forward, her camouflage dropping, Adam simply nodded. "The sleeping alcove on the left should suit your physiology," he said matter-of-factly. "I noticed you favor a semi-reclined position when you were following me earlier." As the electromagnetic storm raged outside, filling the sky with purple fire, 8 different species huddled together in a shelter built by human hands. Kinza found herself watching Adam as he moved between groups, checking on everyone's comfort, sharing his provisions freely. "Why?" she finally asked, her translator rendering her question in halting human language. "You knew I was hunting you. Why help your enemies?" Adam looked at her with those strange, round human eyes. Eyes that held no fear, no anger, only a deep, incomprehensible compassion. "Because," he said simply, "you were never my enemy. You were just someone who needed shelter from the storm." Outside, the electromagnetic tempest howled through the jungle, but inside the shelter, 8 species learned something new about humanity. They were the ones who built sanctuaries in the wilderness and called them home for all who needed them.